Hello, this is Matt Harty from Columbia Business School. I'm the head of programs in social enterprise and also the program director for the Senior Leaders Program for Nonprofit Professionals. Thanks for joining our info session today. And what we'll be talking about in just a few minutes is really an overview of the program, goals, objectives, is this the right fit for you, application requirements and tips, as well as some main assignments. We will leave time for Q&A, so please be sure to put that in the chat box. We can get to that within roughly the last 10 minutes of this webinar. The webinar will also be recorded, so you can expect a follow-up email from our staff to send you this recording if you'd like to refer to any of these components of the webinar as you make a decision to apply or not for the 2019 cohort of the Senior Leaders Program. Let's just make sure that my slide is working. Okay, so is SLP the right program for you? A common question from potential applicants is, how do I know if the Senior Leaders Program is right for me? And there's a couple of things I think you should consider as you think about the program. But before we get into that, we'll also discuss its format, the three main assignments, program outcomes, application requirements and tips, and finally, we'll leave time for Q&A. So is SLP the right program for you? Ask yourself this question. Are you responsible for the mission and strategy of the organization? Are you a member of the organization's senior leadership team? Here at Columbia, we are not fixed on role, or I should say title, but rather role. This program will admit presidents and CEOs, executive directors, but not exclusively. We also admit senior team members. It could be chief program officer, chief operating officer, head of development, head of HR. But you really should have a seat at the table when strategic conversations are occurring around the current and future state of the organization. If you're a level removed from that, and you think you might be on the borderline between the senior leaders and the developing leaders program, that really calls for a conversation I'd be open to having with you. If you feel like you're on the fence, you're not really sure if this is the right fit, and we can walk through that process, that decision-making process. Secondly, SLP is a major commitment. It's a major time and financial investment for everyone that comes through the program. You'd want to ask yourself, am I willing and able to commit 1 week per month in person at Columbia and be out of the office? I'll be detached from my email, be detached from my phone, and I'll be a fully committed participant during the weeks that I'm expected to be on campus, but also in preparation for those separate modules. SLP runs 1 week per month for 4 months. It starts in January, it ends in April. There's a fair amount of pre-work that will begin as early as mid to late November. And you can expect a significant amount of readings, assignments, which we'll get to in a few minutes, and other materials that will make it clear that this is essentially a graduate level program in terms of the readings, assignments, work that is required outside of the actual meeting times, and that you'll be able to fully participate each week in each module. We're in session from 9 o'clock in the morning till roughly 5 p.m. each day. And we provide breakfast beforehand. You should really be able to sit in your seat, ready to go, starting at 9 a.m. and be fully participatory until the end of the day, each day for each week of the program. So the program format, I just alluded to this. It's a full day. We typically cover 2 topics per day that will be taught by Columbia Business School faculty. They'll be drawn primarily from the management division here at the business school, but then we also draw from across the university, psychology department at the college, the School of International Public Affairs, SIPA. Faculty will be drawn on, dependent upon their area of expertise, that we think really builds out a robust leadership and management curriculum. In addition to that, we place a very strong emphasis on peer learning. We are fully aware that even though we have some world-renowned experts and faculty in their fields, there's still a tremendous amount of expertise in the room in the Senior Leaders Program. These are individuals who have been leading organizations for years, if not decades. They are those that are entrusted with the mission and services of critical human service, social service, or art and culture programming, and they know a lot. And we really want to provide a forum, an opportunity for them to share those best practices, share those common challenges, as well as resources. And we embed that into the program through a few structured peer learning activities. And these are the three. The first is the organizational impact plan. You should think of this essentially as a personal case, a current leadership management or leadership challenge that you're facing right now, and that you would really benefit from external, objective analysis and coaching on how to deal with that challenge. Now, the beauty of SLP is its modular design, that you'll be thinking about a topic before you arrive in January. We have some pre-program vetting conversations to think about, is this an appropriate topic? Picking the topic is a really crucial first step in having a successful OIP and, by extension, SLP experience. Sorry for all the acronyms. This personal case you will work on for the duration of the program. You think about your topic before you arrive in January. You meet your peer team in that first week. And by the second module in February, your 5 peer coaches that you'll work with for the duration of the program, your fellow participants, will read your case and will provide you direct feedback on your case in real time during the program week in February. So you can think of this almost as a fishbowl exercise, but the people that are analyzing your case are also very senior, very experienced, and ultimately very generous fellow nonprofit leaders that are analyzing your case. They're giving you feedback. They might be providing you resources or connections to other folks, even outside of the program, to help address the issue. You then revisit that again in March. You provide updates, and here's the accountability piece. You have to make progress on your challenge. This is not an abstract exercise. This is a real application of course content and peer feedback to a current challenge. So the expectation is by March, you can tell your team members, this is what I've tried, this is what's worked, this is maybe how the challenge has evolved, and this is my plan to move it forward over the next month. In April, you're kind of looking both ways. You're reflecting backwards. This is where I've been. This is the success and the challenges that remain, and this is what I'm going to be doing post-program. So you have kind of a future thinking mindset as well in April. But this is really a truly applied project that you will be doing in real time with ongoing support from your peers. A common question is, when will the teams meet? We embed the team meeting time into the curriculum. So there's no expectation that you're meeting separately or after hours or during the interim time between modules. We build in the peer coaching time into each week. The second is the 360 assessment. This is a quite common or well-known leadership assessment survey. You will complete one for yourself, and then you'll also have your supervisor, colleagues, and direct reports complete the same survey. Those results then are compiled into trends and themes, and you get this 360 view of your leadership and management style, competencies, and effectiveness in the office. You will work with an executive coach on what are these results telling me? What are the trends and themes? And what are maybe 3, no more than 5 things I can try to do differently or continue to do and reinforce with my various constituencies. This 360 assessment is really how we formalize the first step in the leadership development process, which is really self-awareness. It's gaining clarity around your own competencies, skills, areas for growth. And this survey is getting a somewhat objective perspective of what that is across constituencies and across levels. We find it to be a very useful tool for facilitating that self-awareness and also resulting in some clear action steps to improve your leadership practice. Again, I just want to remind folks you can insert some questions into the Q&A box as we go on. The third assignment here is the leadership credo, and this is really a culminating leadership message. And again, none of our main assignments are kind of abstract or theoretical exercises. This is a leadership message you would craft, and you'll also receive peer coaching on, as well as work with an expert in communication styles on how to create, develop, refine a powerful leadership message that you would deliver back at the office. We've seen examples of SLP alumni delivering their credos to their entire staff and an all-staff event, and really setting the tone for the organization for the next year. We've heard about presidents and CEOs, EDs using this at their annual benefit and trying to draw in donors or re-engage existing donors or motivate donors to potentially give more to the mission and services of their organizations. And we've seen this in a variety of different formats, motivating teams, acknowledging challenges ahead. It's really supposed to be an applied leadership message that you would deliver with authority, confidence, impact, that is a culminating exercise of what you've been taking away from the Senior Leaders Program over the previous 4 months. Again, these three assignments are what we view to be the core assignments to the program, but there will be many additional readings or surveys or smaller scale assignments that you would complete prior to a specific session in order to hit the ground running. We've also worked with our faculty to make sure that the readings and assignments that are provided unique to their specific session will be used in that session. It's not as if you're back in graduate or undergraduate days where you'd have a weekly syllabus and there'd be a few hundred pages of reading and maybe you get to the first article. This is really an applied specific program, and we've worked with the faculty to try to hone down relevant readings and topics so that you're already working on your OIP, you're working on your 360, you'll be working on your credo. How can you, and we understand that readings are going to be very useful to their specific topic areas. Let's just not overwhelm our participants beyond what they're already required to do. So, given the assignments and the program format and the audience, hopefully you have a good idea of who we look for or ideal candidates for the Senior Leaders Program. One thing I didn't cover, let me just go back quickly, program outcomes. After SLP is over, typically in April, early May, a few months after, we reach out to our alumni. We want to understand from them, what have they applied? What did they learn? Ultimately, what was the impact of this program on their professional practice? And those responses will vary by participant, but we do see some emerging themes. Some of them will say to them, you know, when I came into the room on the first day, I wasn't quite sure that I belonged. I wasn't quite sure that I was operating at a senior leader level. Even if I have the title of executive director, they might be suffering from some form of imposter syndrome. The board made a mistake in hiring me. I'm unqualified for the position that I have. They have some doubt. Over the experience of SLP, this theme of confidence, of confidence in their authority, confidence in their ability to exert power in meaningful and productive ways, to really feel comfort in that role, is a very important outcome of SLP. It's, in many cases, I hesitate to use this term, but folks often tell me it's transformational. I was a different person before I started, and that through this experience of working with roughly 40 other nonprofit leaders, I learned from others. I provided others with expertise, and others viewed me as an expert and almost had this validating effect. That's quite powerful, and I think has a true impact on how people perceive themselves and then what in turn they do in their role and responsibility. Secondly, they've made real progress on their OIP. On their organizational impact plan. They've really made progress on a leadership or management challenge that they identified way back in maybe even December. And here we are the following October. And they tell me, Matt, you know, that really has changed the culture or the climate of my organization, the way in which I'm working with my direct reports, the way in which I'm managing up and managing potentially my board chair. And that dynamic of that relationship has improved. Potentially, they've implemented new processes, programs, or services as a result of the coaching from their peers, and they've made real specific, tangible changes back at their organizations and in their work. And often in October, I hear from folks that the OIP was really a key part of their learning and their experience. The 360, again, this shouldn't be a surprise because these are our core assignments. Greater clarity on my strengths. I want to reinforce my strengths and things that I want to do differently as a nonprofit leader, given the feedback I receive from my supervisor, colleagues, and direct reports. And then hopefully by October, a number of alumni will tell us, I've delivered my credo. I've delivered my credo to my staff, to my donors, to my board, to my various clients or constituencies that are important to the mission and services that we provide. And I feel that it's gone really well, that it's been a motivating, inspirational, or incredibly useful exercise, and that they've applied it. Again, these three main assignments should not be done kind of in a vacuum. They're not theoretical. They're intended to be very applied. Again, just a quick reminder, in about 4 minutes, I'll get to some Q&A, and I see some already coming in. Thank you for submitting. If after all of this, you think that I think SLP is the right program for me, I think it's the right fit given my role and responsibilities, I think it's the right time in my career, and I'm ready to invest or commit to myself, and my organization has given me a bit of the space in order to fully participate, I'm ready to apply. So here are some requirements and tips. After this webinar, you can certainly let me know you intend to apply. It's very helpful for us to have a good understanding from folks as to who's going to be intending to apply before the deadline. The application is exclusively online and is due by September 27th. You can see a sample or draft online application on the program website. So you could see from beginning to end before even clicking the Apply Now button what is required in the online application. It's fairly straightforward. It's not as if you're applying back to graduate school or undergraduate programs. We're not looking for formal transcripts, letters of recommendation. We're looking for two things that will give us a really good sense of you as an individual, as a leader, and what you want to get out of the Senior Leaders Program. Make sure you have your resume updated. So your current role responsibilities, your previous roles and responsibilities, make sure that resume is up to date so that we have a good sense of your work and your work history. And the second piece, which I really want to emphasize here, is spend a good amount of time on your personal statement. We really want to get a good sense of applicants, not just on paper and their resume in terms of their experience, but tell us why you want to take the Senior Leaders Program. Tell us why at this point in your career you think you would benefit from a program such as SLP, and then what you bring to it. Those two perspectives are critical. Make sure that you touch on both. We want to really hear loud and clear why you'd like to take the Senior Leaders Program, what you hope to learn, why at this stage you think you would seek out such a program, learn new ways of leadership and management, why you'd like to be a student again and go back into a learning environment. We want to get a good sense of that. And then secondly, what would you bring to it? What's your perspective on leadership, management, the nonprofit sector, and how that relates to this program? You can do your homework by clicking through the website and getting a good sense of the topics I've covered for the sample agenda. You could see other sample materials that will give you a good sense of the structure and the flow of the program, as well as draw upon anything you've heard in this webinar to help inform what you would say you would bring to the program. And that's 250 words. This is not characters. This isn't a tweet. 250 words, 1 page. Try to cover those bases, and I think you'll be in good shape for the personal statement. Another big question is tuition assistance. We recognize that many nonprofit organizations have very limited training and/or learning and development budgets, and they're incredibly constrained in terms of its financial resources. we understand that you might have very little general operating support in which you might be able to draw upon to fund your enrollment. So Columbia tries to provide some assistance to nonprofit organizations. That will be based on a sliding scale. If your operating budget is under $5 million, you automatically apply, and it's offered on a sliding scale based upon your operating budget. If your operating budget exceeds $5 million, you would qualify for our alumni referral program. So if a alumnus of the Senior Leaders Program or the MBA or Executive MBA program here at the business school, so this is not Columbia University-wide alumni, just specific to the business school, the MBA or Executive MBA program, or alumni of this program, send me directly an email endorsing your enrollment, endorsing your application, and just note the year that they graduated. We will be able to apply a 25% discount to the total cost of the program. Another bucket, which is a bit more complicated, but if you're a current grantee of common funders, those would be the Clark, Pinkerton, and Robin Hood Foundations based here in New York City, you would be eligible for foundation support. The process there is a bit more complicated. The quick answer is you need to be in the pool of applicants in order to be considered for foundation scholarship. We will notify all grantees that have applied for tuition assistance via email. And in the same email, you will also know your enrollment status. So you will make a fully informed decision if you are offered a seat in the 2019 class about what the financial commitment would be. You would then submit a form saying that, yes, I am going to enroll in the program. Then fees would apply if there were to be a balance to the organization, as well as cancellation clauses if you were to withdraw after accepting enrollment. Given demand for the program, demand for support from foundations, it is competitive, and we want to make sure that those funds are executed as efficiently as possible. So again, for folks that are seeking tuition assistance from foundations, there's no need to reach out to your program officers. We manage the process, and we work with the foundation partners prior to notifying you of your enrollment and funding status. Also want to be very clear, if you've heard from a program officer, it doesn't guarantee that you're going to receive assistance because we don't know the pool of demand yet, given that the application deadline is September 27th. Okay. Now I think we have some time for Q&A. One question here. How do you handle 360 interviews with board members when someone does not have a supervisor? For presidents, CEOs, executive directors, if that's the question here, the board chair would be considered the supervisor, and they would provide feedback in that area. I imagine that everybody in a nonprofit organization has some form of supervisor, and if you're president, CEO, ED, that would be the board chair. And if you're not, that person would either be that individual, the executive director and or president and CEO, or someone else, depending upon the size and scale of the organization. Here are a few more. Do you provide help in finding accommodation for out-of-town participants? Very helpful question. We can be helpful in making some recommendations to nearby hotels, but there are the tuition fees do not include accommodations. So individual participants are required to find their own lodging for the weeks that we're in person. Folks have stayed at various hotels that we can recommend, as well as they've used services like Airbnb or other longer term rentals if they're going to be here for an entire week. So folks can use various sources, and we can provide some recommendations for that as well. Another question here, does this program only take place once per year? That's correct. This is an annual program. It typically runs January through April, early on in the spring term, and we're done before the summer starts. And a few questions about the mix of participants. SLP typically trends between 35 to 45 participants per year. And we typically cap it at 45. We've had cohorts as large as 51, and we felt like there was a bit of a trade-off in terms of the size of the organization, size of the cohort rather, and the opportunity to network and build relationships. So it's really between the 35 to 45 size. And primarily, they're going to be U.S.-based and also New York City-based nonprofit organizations. I think that's a product, honestly, of our modular format. The tuition can be quite expensive to nonprofits, and if you lay on top of that flights, train fares, or hotel rates, for 4 weeks in total, it becomes somewhat prohibitive for folks from outside of New York City. So I would say the national to international representation per year is probably between 10 to maybe 15% of the cohort will be roughly of that from outside of the tri-state area. Does a 25 referral discount get applied on top of the sliding scale? Great question. I understand where it comes from, and the answer is no. You cannot combine assistance offers. Whatever the maximum amount of support is what will be applied to the total balance to the organization. So again, you can't combine tuition assistance offers, whether it's foundation and based upon your operating budget, or if it's alumni referral plus on the operating budget. It's simply whatever is the largest is what would be applied, and when we do not combine assistance offers. Other questions here. This is a major time commitment, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to fully commit to each week full time. You might have a conflict with, let's say, a board meeting or a really important previously scheduled event that you need to present at. We understand that you all are very busy working professionals, and in many cases from nonprofit organizations that don't have a organizational slack, that there are additional individuals or the additional capacity to step in while you're out of the office for this length of time. Some folks will say, I can barely take a vacation or a long weekend. How am I going to take a full week out of the office, 1 week per month for 4 months to attend the program? It's a tough call for a lot of folks, especially from EDs of small nonprofits. I'd have to ask the question, is this the right time for you? If you feel like you really won't be able to fully participate or commit to the program, you're also going to be not fully benefiting from the program. You're going to be missing out on the opportunities to network with your fellow participants during breakfast or lunch or thereafter at some happy hours or after evening events. You're going to miss the opportunity to hear from the faculty or fully engage in the readings because you're just too occupied with work while you're at the office. If you don't have the sense or the confidence that you're really going to be able to fully commit to the program, we can have a conversation and talk that through, especially if you have existing conflicts. But if you have more than 2 days already of existing conflicts with the program, you might want to consider postponing. 2 days out of roughly 18 is a bit of our threshold as to if you successfully complete the program or not. We view a successful completion of the program as fully participatory and also fully present. And if you already have numerous conflicts, we might want to start thinking about the 2020 cohort as opposed to 2019. Another great question. Are any recommendations for making the most out of the program experience on site? And I think I just alluded to this. Often we have some participants that are racing in the door at 8:59 or 9:05, and they're just so stretched and pressed for time that they're barely making their own physical presence possible. I think you really need to block out the time in order to meet and discuss with your peers during informal hours, the breakfast hour, the lunch hour, to kind of resituate yourself, get back into a learning mindset, put on your out of office message, and that you're away from your desk, and that you can fully immerse yourself in the learning environment. There's other work you can do back at the office and also back at home, to be honest with you. If you have any kind of familiar obligations, taking this time out also could be a pressure point there. You want to be very clear with your direct reports and staff that you're going to be out of the office and what you'd expect them to be doing during your absence, what things they can step up and do while you're out. But also, a recommendation we make on the first day is that how are you bringing this learning back to your teams? how are you providing opportunities for your staff to also benefit from what you're hearing? And you can do that by bringing readings back, by bringing key theories or concepts back, and making sure that that loop is occurring, and that they also could feel some kind of halo effect or additional benefit from you being out, but you're also bringing something back. And that's going to we'll provide some guidance on in the program. But again, make sure that you're able to be fully present physically, emotionally, that you're able to fully immerse yourself in the program. But then also make sure you're bringing it back to your staff. We're coming up right here at 12:30. If you have any following questions, you can feel free to email me. My information is here, and I hope to hear from you. Thanks very much for joining this info session, and take care. Bye-bye.